Okay, so if you guys are watching this, you're feeling confident, and hopefully you feel like you want to just get a bit better at using Fusion. So we're going to need to put the caps on the end of these tubes, like we did in the engineering workshop. There's more than one way to do it, but I'll try and show you the easiest way, really. It's probably not necessarily the best way, but it's a way, and it will sort of get you better at um, using the tools. Okay, so remember the rules about whenever you make something new, it needs a folder, so it's the first job. Cursor at the top there, right click, make a new component. Triple click 1, 2, 3, end cap, enter. And like we did earlier, we'll make one, because it could get a little bit tricky, and then we'll just copy and paste the second one, because that's going to save us time, and it's the most efficient way to do things. You want to be efficient in Fusion. Okay, so this is activated, and first thing we need to do is draw the shape of that cap. And in the engineering room, use the guillotine to cut a strip of steel. So in a way, we're going to do that. So use the sketch function. We're not going to draw on a sketch plane, but like we did earlier on in the last video, we're going to choose a surface to sketch on. So you can see actually Fusion saying, oh, I could draw on there, on the edge of that shelf, or on there, or on the bottom of the shelf. But we're going to draw. See if you can get your cursor on that edge there, and it will highlight the edge, and it will think, yes, I understand that that's a surface to draw on. So I'm going to click on that. And there you go, it is spun around, so we're looking directly on that cut edge. So this is going to make it easy to draw that shape, because all we want now is the rectangle tool. Select that, and it can see that object behind that steel, the end cap of that, the end of that steel tube. So the cursor should just pop on the corner, click, and then draw out your rectangle until you can pop the cursor onto that opposing corner. Click, just like that, and it's matched up. It's 50mm that way, but it's a different measurement down here because that tube was cut on an angle. It's longer than 50. That's it. Right, finish sketch. And now we just want to use the orbit tool. If you just orbit around like that, it's always good to be in a sort of 3D position to extrude. Press escape to get an orbit. Use extrude. Again, Fusion's being clever, and it's picking up enclosed geometry, enclosed shapes. So you can click that one for a start, but we also want this one here. Okay, so that was actually in the workshop the size of the steel that we cut on the guillotine. We're going to stretch that out, and it needs to be 2mm. That's the thickness. And then go enter or OK, doesn't matter. So that's looking okay, and I'll tell you why it's not perfect. Because if we go around to this front view, use your view cube, you can see it's actually like it's got this edge here, and also up here it's actually got a bit missing. Now in the workshop that got welded, so the weld filled up, and then you went and ground it back to the right shape. And also down here there was a bit of a this got welded, and then you ground it back nice and flush. So we can't weld here, and we don't need to, but we're going to make sure it looks correct. So the way to do that is to draw a little line across this edge, and then extrude this off. We're going to cut that off. So again, we need to do another sketch. So if you put your cursor on that edge, right click, and select Create Sketch. Now it's ready for you to draw on the edge of that steel. So just use the line tool and just draw a line. So the cursor will pop onto that corner and draw it across until it hits that other edge. So that's good. That's that one. I'm zooming out. I'm going to zoom back in, and we want to draw in what we need here as well. Actually, I wonder if I can use my cursor just to match up where I want to draw. It might help draw it out. You might recognise, no it hasn't. Never mind, I'm just going to draw anyway from this point across. Maybe I'm going to touch that corner and just, yeah, there we go. It's going to, it hasn't quite snapped up. What I'll do is I'll just click a line longer than I need, and then I'm going to do another one from here. I'm going to zoom in now and draw a line that snaps. No, I'm going to go past, because I want this line to be parallel with this one here. It seems to remain parallel if I make it longer. That's okay. If it still wants to draw another line, you just need to make sure you hit the green tick to finish drawing. And just to be sure, I always like to draw. I'm going to click here and go across to there. Just draw in that the triangle that we need. We're going to extrude that shape. Don't worry about these pieces here. You could, if you wanted to, use the trim tool. If you really cared about that, you could trim that off. So that should still be a triangle. So it's highlighting those lines. I think this is going to work. So if we go Finish, and then into Orbit, so we're in a 3D view. It's hard to look at sometimes, this 3D view, but that looks good to me. Extrude, so let's do this one first. Now I can't pick it up because this shelf's in the way, so if that's the case, you just need to come over to the shelf folder and then just hide it, turn the eye off. Now if we go back in, now it can pick that up, so that's good. Click and drag that across, and it's going to fill in that missing triangle piece. And if you remember, it's 50mm wide, so I'm going to go 50, negative 50. Okay, so that's good. And then down here, we actually need to remove that, so it's the same action. You could actually use press pull. Does the same thing. There's a variation to this tool, but I'm not going to talk about that. Click and drag that back, and you can tell it's cutting because it's coloured red. And I'm just going to type in. It's a lot quicker if you just type it in. Maybe 50. Lovely. So now that's actually that's how you would want it manufactured. You want it looking nice and slick, sharp edge. Okay, so that's good. Just orbit around. Now this line work, that's your sketch. It's a bit annoying to see that, so if you open up the folder, you can just turn off that sketch, and that looks a bit nicer. I'm just going to highlight the whole thing. So that's good. That's looking much better. Looks tidier than leaving it open, I think. Right. I'm going to leave that wood shelf off. I could just turn it back on. Maybe I'll just turn it off for the minute. Shrink that folder back. We need to copy and paste that. So I tend to activate it. I don't think it matters, but it's a good habit. Right click, copy, up to the top folder, right click, paste new, not paste but paste new. Let's go to the front view, There's our move copy dialog box, so we're in the move command. Here go our grips, so just use the arrows. Now I wonder, yeah, that makes sense. So it's actually moving the length. I want to move it down the length of that, and the length of that tube was actually 220, wasn't it? So if you just went to negative 220, that'd be perfect. And then this way, that doesn't quite make sense. Never mind. I wonder if it was 190. Let's try that. And then we need a slight adjustment on that angle. So that was sitting at 60, 30 is good. I'm just going to bring it back here like so. And then I'm going to use this point-to-point command. Move it around a bit. Zoom in. Just make sure you know. You can see the points that you want to match up. You might work with these 2 points here. So I'm going to go, that point needs to go to this point. You can see the blue line again. Yeah, that just seems to work better. Now I've just realised those angles are incorrect, aren't they? Let's have a look. What happens if we flip it 180? That's a bit better. Let's go try this again, point to point on this one, that point to that point. Yeah, you might just have to, you just need to think about it as you place it, but everything is redoable. So I've just redone that move a little bit. Yeah, so those caps look good, eh? Right, next last thing to do will be that tag. I might just leave it at that, because this is a good length video. Okay, stay tuned for the name tag. It's going to be a slightly longer video clip. Okay, thanks boys.